This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
Now, I've titled today's lesson, Breaking the Rules. Jesus' approach to life and ministry seemed to intentionally fly in the face of tradition and rules. Everything that Jesus did seemed to break rules for some reason or other. That was just the way Jesus operated. It was one of the things that attracted me to Jesus when I was searching for answers. And of course, I'd grown up in a Christian home and knew about this, but when I began to see the radical side of Jesus, that really attracted me, to be honest with you. But the more I studied about Christ and His life, I began to realize that it wasn't that Jesus was out to break the rules and to break traditions, but rather He saw rules and traditions as limiting and as oppressive to those who were seeking after God. Now, I'm not talking about the law of the land. That's very different. Jesus obeyed the law of the land. As a matter of fact, when He was put on trial, Pilate said of Jesus, I find no fault with Him. I find no guilt in this man. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't broken the law. So it wasn't about the law. Jesus obeyed the law. What I'm talking about are the rules and traditions that we put on ourselves to define our worth and value. Those rules, those things that we impose on ourselves or try to impose on others to define value and to define worth. Now, there's a few things that are obvious that come to mind. Certainly in this story, especially in this story, in the Gospel of John, we're looking at the rules and traditions of the religious. It was the religious leaders who said, "Hey, you can't do that on the Sabbath. That's a rule." You know, and there was a tradition involved in that. If you violate that, you're violating the rule. Well, it wasn't breaking the law. It was their self-imposed rule, because by keeping that rule, it made them feel more righteous, more holy, more spiritual by doing those things. And so they were all about the rules and the traditions. And this example of the tradition of the pool of Bethesda is another tradition. We'll take a look at this in just a moment. But the rule that forbade Jesus to heal a crippled man on the Sabbath, that was not a law, that was a rule and tradition. That's what I'm talking about, those rules and traditions that we put on ourselves to make us feel more value or feel that we have more worth. But there are rules and traditions that we put on ourselves personally that become limiting and oppressive.